Easy Explain A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. Intro in Chapter 1. So let's kick things off here with a brief introduction to Virginia Woolf, who we're talking about. So Virginia Woolf was born in London in 1882, and she very unfortunately, very sadly, died of suicide by drowning at 59 years old in 1941 in a river, actually, in England. She's best remembered for being a pioneer as a modernist, right? When we think of the modern movement in literature and arts and culture, she was definitely a part of that, definitely a big player in that. And especially in her writing, she was also known for the stream of consciousness style, really popularizing that, making that something more accessible for people and entertaining as they would read her novels. So you've probably heard of some of her novels. Some of the more popular ones or best known ones are Mrs. Dalloway, which was published in 1925, To the Lighthouse, maybe her most well known, 1927, and The Waves from 1931. So check those out. Those are her novels. Great examples of her stream of consciousness style, not so much her feminist philosophy, which is what we'll be taking a look at here. So it's her other point of fame, is becoming a feminist icon of sorts, which is, I guess, best classified as an extended essay called A Room of One's Own, and that was first put together and published in 1929, and that's really what we're going to be looking here, is the feminist philosophy that she's constructing throughout. And there's also going to be a few good examples of her stream of consciousness style throughout this as well. So let's move right into Chapter 1, Room of Her Own. First time we see this concept of Virginia Woolf's emerging. So Virginia says that a woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction. And that, as you will see, leaves the great problem of the true nature of woman and the true nature of fiction unsolved. So this is I actually think the first time in the work that we see this concept of her feminist philosophy emerging, that to be a creative, productive, individual, independent person, you need your own space, right? You need your space to be creative, and you need some money to do so, right? You got to be able to fund your food, your needs, your well-being to create. Right, so that's the two parts of this philosophy we're going to see developed throughout this work. We need a room of our own, and we need some money. So let's move on what it means to be good and well, to put it one way. So she also says, I like this quote, "A good dinner is of great importance to good talk. One cannot think well, love well, sleep well, if one has not dined well." Just the good life, right? She's appreciating good food, seeing how important it is to have that money to get that good food, to be healthy, to create. And to wrap up, dive into Chapter 1 here. Here's a really good example of her stream of consciousness style. So this is a very run-on kind of sentence, and I took just some snippets out of it to give you what I think is a good example. She says, "And I thought how unpleasant it is to be locked out, and I thought how it is worse perhaps to be locked in, and thinking of the safety and prosperity of the one sex, and of the poverty and insecurity of the other, and of the effect of tradition and of the lack of tradition upon the mind of a writer." Right, just kind of goes on for a little bit before this starts. It goes on for a little bit after that, right? So we just see how she's, this free association, right? To think of Freud's philosophy at the time. I think this is a great example of what we would find in a lot of her novels as well. This is a little more philosophical and a room of one's own here. So we're kicking things off with Virginia Woolf. We just took a look at Chapter 2. We'll be moving through each of the chapters in turn. But for now, hope this helps.